I'll start with one area, which is the cleanup of electoral rolls. I want to ask Sanju Verma, as far as elections in India are concerned, we have electoral rolls for Lok Sabha, which is separate, for Vidhan Sabha, which is separate, and for other municipal and panchayat elections, which are separate. And oftentimes, it is the case that one person who has voted in a Lok Sabha election suddenly finds his or her name not there in a Vidhan Sabha election electoral roll. Shouldn't we have one electoral roll that's cleaned up from time to time instead of having multiple electoral rolls?
You know, Zaka, that's a very pertinent and timely suggestion. And I'm sure those, in the know of things and watching your show will take cognizance of it. I think, apart from what you mentioned about multiplicity of electoral rolls, if you go back in time over the last 7 to 8 odd years, on various platforms, Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself and his senior cabinet ministers have often said that rather than having an election every 6 months, be it a by-poll or a local body election or a panchayat election or a Vidhan Sabha election, why not have one nation, one election? And that is something that we intend delivering on going forward. But at this point in time, I just want to draw the attention of your audience to what is the moot point of the debate today. It is not just the Election Commission which is empowered under Article 324, 325, 326, 327, 328 and 329 to ensure free and fair elections and take steps thereof. But the Supreme Court, way back in 2015, just 10 seconds, what did the Supreme Court say and which the Election Commission has reinforced while writing to various political parties to solicit their suggestions? The Supreme Court said, in the interest of transparency, level playing field and credibility of promise, it is expected that manifestos also reflect the rationale for the promises and broadly indicate the ways and means to meet the financial requirements for it. Trust of voters should be sought only on those promises which can possibly be fulfilled. This is the Supreme Court of India way back in 2015. And, 7 years hence, nothing has changed. We are only trying to give a voice to what the Apex Court wanted delivered on the ground for greater transparency.
One of the concerns for a number of years has been about clean funding of political parties, about the means of funding of political parties. So in order to curb the use of black money in elections, and I want to ask both Arshpreet Kadyal as well as Priyanka Kakkar this, the Election Commission had proposed lowering the disclosure limit for anonymous donations from 20,000 rupees to 2,000 rupees. Any contribution above 2,000 rupees would have to be identified through the donor report. Now, the BSP, I'm just giving one example. The BSP, for instance, claims that it has received crores of rupees in political donations from small amounts from tens of thousands of individuals, but it does not name who those individuals are. Because earlier, you needed to name only above 20,000. So the question is, why should such a leeway be made for political parties? If you as individual taxpayers, you and I as individual taxpayers have to reveal our sources of income, then why should an exception be made to political parties? Arshpreet Kadyal.
See, number one, when it comes to the BJP, it's only big talk and no action at all whatsoever. They say they have a problem with freebies. They say they have a problem with rebadi culture, Mr. Modi especially. However, they haven't even considered defining what freebies are. They haven't even, told us if they will do that in the first place in the future also. Because it is very important that, all this talk, all this debate, all these press notes, they lead to something conclusive and constructive. However, there is no clarity and there's only confusion, room for doubt, as to what freebie is.
No, but we're not talking about the freebie debate, Arshpreet. We're not talking about the freebie debate today. We're talking about the other reforms proposed by the Election Commission. So I want your views on that.
These are connected, if you may allow me, because electoral bonds as well. When people are paying tax on curd, on wheat, on rice, on paneer, on 20 rupees ki lassi, why should they not be paying, the people who are contributing not be paying tax on 20,000 rupee donations? Now, the limit is on 20,000. However, you can make a 20,000 donation for 20,000 more times. You won't be asked a single word. And where does this all this money go? And why should they not pay tax on 20,000, but people have to pay on 20 rupees? This is a big question. And number two, let's not just talk. Let's do something productive and conclusive. Because
One second, Ashpreet. I'm not sure how paying tax and revealing the name of a donor are connected. But revealing the name of a donor is a simple premise. If individuals in this country, if companies and corporations in this country have to reveal their sources of income, why shouldn't political parties be asked to reveal their source of income? But the point on electoral bonds is valid. That matter is before the Supreme Court. So I'll ask Priyanka Kakkar that. How can you tackle the issue? How can you tackle the issue of black money in politics or black money in campaign financing if you do not tackle anonymous electoral bonds? I think that is a valid question to ask. But ultimately, it boils down to, are you going to clean up the electoral process? Because in this country, we've seen reforms in all kinds of areas, from banking reforms to private sector reforms, even government sector reforms have been happening for a number of years now. Why can't we have electoral reforms in this country?
The BJP has maximum when it
Good
comes
evening,
to
Zaka. Good evening to all of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. So, Zaka, I think Aam Aadmi Party would be the first party in the country which spoke about transparency in donations. Now, what happened subsequently, Zaka? Central government came up with a law and made amendments which permitted anonymous funding and anonymous taking and anonymous giving. And also, what happened, Zaka, is, in 2018, you will recall, the High Court of Delhi the Honorable High Court of Delhi had phatkaroed both these parties, that BJP and the Congress, that you are in violation of the FCRA Act. What did they do? They went back to the Parliament and brought in amendments in the FCRA Act which permitted them foreign donations since 1965. So all violations absolved. So today, if
Priyanka,
you say that
one second. May I just underline one thing? All
Yes,
parties, including your party, receive foreign contributions. From individuals who may be supporters of your party, you receive foreign contributions. Of course, it has to be within the law of the land.
We had no problem
The point is this. The point is this. Now the Election Commission is saying, if it is okay for all political parties to seek and get foreign contributions from non-resident Indians, then why not a proposal on allowing non-resident Indians voting rights? It's on the table. Let's discuss.
What has happened? No, let's first please let's not digress today. I will discuss on this too, but subsequently today I want to definitely discuss the reforms proposed by the EC and why they have been proposed. That is the debate and I would like to please speak about it.
Yes. This is also part of those reforms. Yes,
so
go ahead.
Coming to the freebies issue, Zaka, if you will recall, coming to the independence of the Election Commission, that is the major issue, Zaka. And why that is, because you will recall, Zaka, in 2019, Ashok Lavasaji, when he was one of the two election commissioners of India, he wrote a dissenting note that when it comes to BJP, the violations are completely ignored. The violations of the MCC during the 2019 elections, for example, were completely ignored and very weak action was taken.
Okay.
This was Ashok Lavasaji's dissenting note, and what happened? The central agencies hounded him and his family members.
So you are basically saying that questioning the integrity of the EC as an institution. Okay. No, I've got limited time in today's debate and there are six guests, so I need to go to others also. Please, ma'am, with your permission. Let me go to Mr. Tapase of the NCP. One area that all political parties pay lip service to, but eventually do nothing about, is the criminals in politics or people with criminal antecedents in politics. Now, in the current Maharashtra Assembly, out of 288, 172 MLAs, Mr. Tapase, more than 50%, face grave criminal charges, many of them heinous charges, including rape and murder. Why should the Election Commission not put out a proposal that those who are facing heinous criminal charges should not be allowed to stand for elections?
Well, the current policies
I can't hear you, Mr. Tapase. You have to speak louder.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Can you hear me, Zaka?
Yes.
I said the current policy, any political party making any candidate face the election in this scenario and he having some kind of a charges against him, the political party has to declare in a written advertisement about the criminal antecedents of the candidate. So this is the law as of which is the latest amendment. So as far as whether the charges will be proved or not is another question. For that, judicial reforms have to come in place in a time-bound manner in which the entire judiciary has to operate. And they have to define any, let's say, X charge has to be dismissed, or either he has to be acquitted or convicted within such frame of time. So charges cannot go on forever. So unless and until you are not proved guilty, you are considered to be innocent, and that is the recourse that people take.
Agreed on that. Agreed on that. That yes, the criminal justice system in this country takes a long time to deliver justice. All I'm saying is, forget about cases which you feel are lighter charges or cases which you feel are maybe politically motivated, rivals, so on and so forth. But surely rape and murder are heinous enough to disbar somebody from a political party from putting up a candidate who has rape and murder charges against him or her. I think that's a fair bottom line to start from.
Yeah, but at the same time, as far as my party is concerned, we have not put up any candidate with such a serious background. At the same time, there are people. The Representation of the People Act still allows any person, despite any kind of charge against him, to contest as an independent. So if you have something on a policy matter, then everything, the criminal jurisprudence, everything has to be taken into account.
Okay. Let me again. There is a bit of an audio issue with Mr. Tapasi. We'll try and fix that. But let me also go across to Professor Sanjay Kumar, because Professor Kumar has been in the business of psephology and opinion polls and exit polls for a number of decades now. One of the proposals, and we don't know if this will pass muster, but one of the proposals by the Election Commission is to regulate the publication or the broadcast of opinion and exit polls. In fact, former Chief Election Commissioner S.Y. Qureshi is on record to say that he believes, and I don't think he represents the views of the entire Election Commission, but he believes in his individual capacity that opinion polls actually influence the electoral process. If the Election Commission were to take this step of banning opinion polls and exit polls, would that be in the spirit of democracy, or would it go against it?
Zaka, I won't favor any ban or complete restriction on publication or dissemination of any opinion poll or exit poll. But yes, regulation I fully support if there are suggestions or there are suggestions made by Election Commission for regulating. I am totally in favor of regulating the polls, because in the name of polls, a lot of trash is being, shown to the viewer or printed in a newspaper. So regulation means transparency. When I say regulation, it is about transparency, about the methodology, about the funding sources of these polls, about the parties or the agencies who have commissioned these polls. So I am totally in favor of transparency about these polls, not only about the method, also about its publication, etc. But as I said earlier, I am not in favor of complete ban on opinion poll or exit poll.
No, I think the critical question is the accountability. We have seen, and I know you've very ardently advocated that it's very difficult in a country like India to get seats right. But we have seen, forecasts and estimates go horribly wrong. So I think the Election Commission is coming to it from the point of view of whether there's a ban or not, that's a separate matter. But there needs to be accountability if a prediction has gone horribly wrong.
I don't know what would be the parameter to judge accountability, in a sense whether the poll have got right or wrong. Because when you do the polls, whether you are doing an opinion poll or an exit poll, you actually estimate the vote share. Because you go to the people and ask which party they are likely to vote for or which party they have voted for. It is a separate thing how these votes get translated into seats. If you look at the Indian electoral system, in Karnataka, last several elections, the party which gets less vote, which is BJP, always got larger number of seats, while Congress always gets more votes and get less number of seats. Look at the Lok Sabha elections, Zaka. Congress had BJP had 18.6% vote in 2009 Lok Sabha elections and they ended up getting 116 seats. Look at the situation of Congress in 2014. Congress had 19.6% vote. They ended up getting 44% vote. Can Election Commission explain that why a party with similar number of votes are getting different kinds of seats? That is the equation which works with the pollsters also. You may get vote estimates right, but converting those votes into seats, that's a mathematical equation. You may not get it right, as the parties get similar number of votes, do not get similar number of seats.
One other proposal that's been put forth, and again we'll have to see if the government actually brings a bill on this, is linking Aadhaar with electoral rolls. Now, Kailash Adhikari, this has been a bit of a concern. Even after the Parliament passed this bill last December, we still do not know how effective, first of all, this will be in weeding out duplicate enrollment or duplicate electoral rolls and duplicate names on the electoral rolls. And most importantly, can this be made mandatory at a time when the Supreme Court verdict on linking of Aadhaar with other categories and other concepts has been struck down by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has said that nothing can be mandatorily linked with Aadhaar.
Surely, Zaka, and that is why in the Election Commission's proposal, it is that it is strongly recommended and it does not mandate the linking of Aadhaar with your electoral rolls, just as in the case of Aadhaar and PAN, as the Honorable Supreme Court has said that you cannot mandate anyone. Now, Zaka, to this entire point of the Election Commission coming out with approximately 70-80 proposals of overhauling the system is that we as a nation are 75 years old. And with each passing time, you learn of certain things of experiences. With each passing day, we grow, and growth involves evolution. And it's high time that, after each and every sector sees reforms after a certain passage of time. As you rightly mentioned in the beginning, we have seen banking reforms, we are seeing judicial reforms, we'll see policing reforms. So why not electoral reforms? I mean, we are the largest democracy of the world, and the entire process of election, the democracy hinges on that. It is on that. And having said that, certain issues such as online voting. Now, this is a very interesting proposal. Now, people could be anywhere. People could be. I may not be. Let's say someone is not able to vote because he's sick or he's somewhere. That does not mean that his right to vote should be taken away because on that one fateful day he or she is not able to vote. So, online voting. Voting by NRIs, I mean, there could be a difference of opinions also. A person who is not living in Chicago, how could he know the ground realities? Let's say if he's from Lucknow. So, whether that person should be allowed to vote or not, there could be biased opinions. With regards to freebies, yes, they should be made accountable. You can not just, in order to grab the votes, say that you're providing free electricity, free water, without knowing how will you provide for it. You cannot just divert budgets from other sectors or other heads, and that head suffers because you've just promised this particular by knowing the pulse of the
Let me go back to Sanju Verma. As far as the cleanup of electoral financing is concerned, and I think this is the point that both Priyanka Kakkar and Ashdeep Kardial were making. Yes, it's a great proposal to have non-anonymous donations above 2,000 rupees. But what about anonymous electoral bonds?
Zaka, I just have to say one very important thing. In your introduction, you mentioned about, banking reforms, cleaning up various other aspects of the financial sector. So why should Modi government take the backseat when it comes to electoral reforms? And Kailash Adhikari pretty much the same point. I just want to tell you, quickly, before answering your question, there was this whole debate about why link Aadhaar cards with the electoral rolls. And in support of doing that, I just have this to say that this is the same lot which protested when Aadhaar was introduced. But today, in the last 5 years alone, and I culled out this data from the Finance Ministry's website, 18,000 fake NGOs, 2.5 lakh fake companies, 5 crore fake ration cards, 3 crore fake LPG connections, 2 crore fake Manrega cards, 6 lakh fake midday meal beneficiaries, and 80,000 fake teachers have been culled out of the system to ensure better transparency and accountability. And the election reforms that Kiren Rijiju, the Law Ministry and Election Commission are talking of, is on similar lines. And the Aam Aadmi Party made a very interesting observation about the independence of the Election Commission. I just want to say one thing to her. Before casting aspersions on the apex electoral body, let me tell you that it is out in the public domain. The Ford Foundation gave $134 million in the last 7 years out of which 80% went to Aam Aadmi Party, and madam, 80% of
Okay.
$134 million is $107 million. So first, please give the hisab kitab of what you have received from the Ford Foundation and then give an integrity certificate to the Election Commission.
Okay, Priyanka Kakkar, respond to that. And I keep coming back to that point. I mean, all parties, including yours, have received foreign funding. So why are you hesitant in giving NRIs voting rights?
Let me please first give a rebuttal to what the BJP spokesperson was saying. Now, you know, she admitted that the electoral reforms were proposed by the Modi government and not by the Election Commission of India. You know, Election Commission of India has outlived the reputation of TN Session Ji. Why I say this, and before the Supreme Court in the July of this year, 2022, the Supreme Court asked, what is your stand on freebies? And haath khade kar the Election Commission and that please don't ask us. And then the Supreme Court phatkaroed the center and said, why are you hesitant to take a stand on it? So what is happening is